understand payroll very slowly, because payroll is something that is highly conceptual in nature. That is a wrong notion among the people. People think that payroll is much more focused on calculation. Calculation is nothing if the concept is clear to you. That is why focus on the concept, calculation will automatically come. So in a CTC, there can be two different set of components. One is the compensation components, one is the benefit components. We can call the compensation component as monetary returns. We can call the benefit components as non-monetary return. We can call the monetary returns as employee receivable, because that will form the part of their salary. We can call the non-monetary returns as non-receivable, because that will not form the part of the salary. Clear till here or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, try to understand. The components can be anything depending on the CNB policy of the company, right? But when a particular company is there in the industry, definitely they will follow some industry standard practices, right? So when we are discussing the CTC structuring, we need to understand what are the predominant components that can form the part of these particular categories, right?
Yes.
Now, in employee receivable part, there is a famous component in the industry, and the name of the component is basic, right? The name of the component is basic. Now, what is this basic? Basic is a specific percentage of CTC. Basic is a specific percentage of CTC. Now, I am telling a specific percentage. So, what will be the percentage? Depending on the CNB policy of that particular company. So in the CNB policy of that particular company, it will be there that what is the percentage of basic they are giving, right? Got it or not?
Yes, sir.
Basic
Yes,
is
sir.
a specific percentage of CTC. What will be the specific percentage? That is depending on the CNB policy of that company. So if I'm working with a company, I need to see what is there in a company's policy. If I'm working with P, I need to see what is the P company's policy. But there is a standard market practice. What is that? The basic percentage is in between the range of 30% to 60%. That is the standard range for basic. So you can see most of the companies, almost 99% of the companies will give basic in between this range. So they will not give more than 60%, or they will not give less than 30%, and maximum companies are giving 40, 50, 45, like that. Why? Because that is the predominant market practice. But what will be the actual CNB policy of your particular company that you are working with as an HR? You need to see the CNB policy of the company. But definitely the CNB policy will not be framed in a way that it will be completely deviating from the market standard. Why? Because if your policy is deviating from the market standard, what will happen? Your CNB policy will be loosened up, right? It will be very difficult for you to retain your existing employees. It will be very difficult for you to attract new candidates. That is why whenever the company is in operation, is in action, is in business, they will always try to find whatever the market standard practice is saying, right? 30% to 60% is the standard range for basic. Now the company can give anything in between this. Now for example, Rashmi is working with a company, and the company is giving CTC of 2,50,000, just for an example. And so I need to know what is the percentage of basic this company is giving. For example, suppose this company is giving 45% as basic. So if they are giving 45% of basic, can they give 45%? First of all, answer me this. Can they give 45%?
Yes, sir.
Yes, they
Yes,
can
sir.
give, because it is in between the standard range. So they can give, right? Suppose this company is giving 45% of basic. So what will be basic for Rashmi? It will be CTC into 45%.
Into 45%, yes.
Wait, right?
Yeah.
So this is the basic amount for Rashmi in this particular company according to the CNB policy of this particular company. Right? Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, no,
Yes,
maybe
sir.
you don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Srivatsan,
Yes, sir.
right? Now my question is, apart from Rashmi, right? Because Rashmi has attended one of my session earlier, so Rashmi can know this answer. So apart from Rashmi, I just want to know from others why this component is known as basic. You believe me, in some of the interviews, I have asked this question to some of the experienced HRs, and they are also fumbling to answer me this.
Sir, I think I don't know, but
Yeah, try. Not an issue. Yeah. Do not worry
okay.
about your doubts, queries, questions, answers. It can be right, it can be wrong, it can be messy, it can be ugly, whatever. We don't care. Right?
Okay,
Come up.
Because
I feel it is basic because and this will be the fixed amount. Okay, because the HRA and all they are all variable, but basic is a fixed. I feel like I'm not sure, but I think 40% or 45% that will be fixed. But other than this, other components they are like
no,
Okay.
actually I think
Yeah.
that it
Don't go for
depends.
these variables and fix things right now. Try to understand whatever the amount you will get in the basic, that will form the base for the calculation of other
base.
components.
Okay, base for the calculation of the components.
So even when you are getting high, your
Others,
all other components will be changed according to the basic amount.
Okay.
Right? That is why this component is known as basic pay or basic. Okay, so coming back with the discussion, I hope basic is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Now, when we are talking about some of the employee receivable component that is quite common and uniform across the industry, there is another component that is known as house rent allowance. We call it as HRA, right? Now, what is this house rent allowance is all about? Try to understand the concept first. If the company is not giving you the accommodation facilities or the staying facilities on their own, they will provide you some amount for staying or accommodation purpose, irrespective of where you are staying. Again, I am repeating, if the CNB policy of the company is comprised of house rent allowance, that means the company is not providing the accommodation facilities or staying facilities on their own. And for that reason, they will provide some amount for staying purpose or accommodation purpose, irrespective of where you are staying. You can stay in a rented flat or a rented house. You can stay in your own flat or your own house. You can stay in footpath. But if CNB policy is saying that HRA is there, then you will get HRA irrespective of where you are staying. Now you can ask me, sir, if any employee is staying in a rented accommodation, will they get any benefit extra? Yes. During the taxabilities discussion, we'll discuss this, not during the payroll. Because ultimately you will get the amount, you will get the tax benefit or not, that will be the discussion point in the taxability part, not here, right? So try to understand this thing. If the company is not providing you the accommodation facilities on their own, they will provide you some amount for staying purpose, and that is known as HRA. Now, irrespective of where you are staying, means which mode of accommodation you are staying. Now, this particular HRA, what is that? What is the percentage? It is a specific percentage of basic, or if DA is there, then basic plus D. Right? Now, specific percentage of basic. What will be the specific percentage? Again, come back to CNB policy. Whatever the CNB policy will tell. But the CNB policy will be designed as per the standard practice, and for standard practice there is a location norm. What is the location norm is telling about HRA? The location norm is telling that if the location is a metro location, then 50% of basic will be considered as HRA. If the location is non-metro location, then 40% of basic will be considered as HRA. So as per the location norm, depending on the metro or non-metro location, the HRA percentage will differ. Now tell me one thing, suppose Pritham is staying in Kolkata, can Pritham's company give 60% as HRA?
For metro, 50%.
I know that I have already told, but my question is, suppose Pritham is working in a company
Then
and the
more than
company
that, I
is
think they
giving
can give.
60% of basic as HRA, can company give?
Yes, sir. I think so. More than that, they
Right?
can give, but it is minimum.
They can give, right? But can they give
Minimum is
lesser than
50.
50%?
No.
No,
No.
50.
Because if they are giving, then their CNB policy will be loosened up, right?
Okay.
Now suppose Samita is staying in Bhubaneswar, right? What will be the HRA percentage as per the location now?
40%.
40%, because that is a non-metro location.
Yeah.
Suppose Anindita is staying in Noida, what will be the HRA percentage?
That will be 40%.
50%. NCR, Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon, NCR metro
Okay,
location.
okay.
It's a metro. So
50%.
more than
Metro.
50.
Yes.
More than 50.
For example, you are staying in Hyderabad, what will be the HRA percentage as per the location now?
50.
Secunderabad,
40,
Yeah.
50, sir.
Hello.
Hyderabad, Secunderabad, 50%, twin cities.
Yeah.
Twin cities.
Howrah, 50%. Kolkata, Howrah,
50.
metro zone, right?
Yeah. 50.
So depending on the location, do not tell metro cities, non-metro cities. Technically incorrect word, right? Many of the HRs are using that, but we are knowledgeable HRs. So we do not tell anything that is technically incorrect. We'll tell metro locations, non-metro locations. We'll not tell metro cities, non-metro cities,
Location.
right? So
Yeah.
metro location 50%, non-metro location 40%, right? So suppose this is whose CTC is this? Rashmi, I think, right? Suppose Rashmi is working in a company where that is in the metro location and they are giving as per the location norm. So what will be the HRA percentage? 50%. So how to calculate it? This is basic into 50%. So this will be HRA. So when you are working in a company as an HR and you are working on the CTC part, whatever the CNB policy is telling about the HRA percentage, you need to give according to that. Now, if the location norm they are following, then if metro location, then 50%, non-metro location 40%. Now, can you have this thing that you are staying in Bangalore but getting 40% as HRA? Can you get that? People will not be
No.
that much excited to work with that company. Simple as that.
Right.
Because they are not giving as per the standard practices,
Standard practice.
right? Remember, many companies are going on without any structured things. They are doing whatever they want to do because there is a word in our HR management and that is known as management discretion, right? With that particular word, HR department or management can become the supreme. But remember one thing, if you are not giving the facilities to your employees, your employee will not be staying in your company for the longer duration. They will use your company for stopgap arrangements.
Absolutely.
That is why, as per the good HR practice, we need to understand what are the things we should do, rather what are the things we should not. Right? Now, Coming back to the discussion, so basic and HRA is clear to you, all of you?
Yes.
Srivatsan,
Yes, sir.
you are very silent today. What happened? You're not feeling well.
No, sir. I'm listening, sir.
You are missing Janmashtami Puja.
No, sir. I actually did it.
You have actually did it. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Okay, coming back to the discussion, there is another component that is also quite famous in the CNB policy of the most of the companies, and that is known as allowance. Now, remember this thing in a very crystal clear manner. This is the most flexible component in the CNB policy. This is the most flexible component in the CNB policy. The company can fix an amount to give. The company can fix a percentage to give in the CNB policy as per the management discretion. Most of the company, they're giving a percentage of basic as allowance. So suppose Rashmi is working in a company where the company is giving allowance of 40% of basic. Suppose the company is giving 40% of basic as allowance. Suppose allowance is 40%. So how it will be calculated? Okay, do not focus on my typing, because I am typing it fast, so it can be like typing error sometimes. So if that is 40%, the company is giving, how to calculate it? Basic into 40%. Now, can company give 50%? Can company give 60%? Can company give 70%? Can company give 20%? Yes.
Yes.
Because allowance is the fully flexible part. So as an HR, when I work in a company, I need to follow how much allowance the company is giving. Now what the company can do like this, okay, allowance, take, right? Or company can segregate the allowances into further components, right? Company can give the allowance for the different purposes. For example, I can tell Srivatsan, this is 100 rupees allowance. Or I can tell Srivatsan, 20 rupees is for your transportation, 20 rupees for your medical purpose, 20 rupees for your mobile purpose, 20 rupees for your food purpose, 20 rupees for your other purpose, right? So ultimately what I am doing, I am giving 100 rupees only. So I can give 100 rupees, or I can segregate 100 rupees into different fragments, right? So a company can give conveyance allowance, a company can give medical allowance, a company can give leave travel allowance, a company can give other allowance, a company can give mobile allowance, a company can give special allowance, a company can give food allowance, a company can give entertainment allowance. One of my student was there in a other batch, okay, the name was Neha. Neha was telling that her company is giving furniture allowance, right? So company can give any allowance they want, but it is not obvious that you will get all the allowances, okay, when you are working in a company. Suppose Pritham is working in a company, Pritham is getting conveyance allowance, medical allowance, mobile allowance, that's it.
So my company
Suppose
gives.
Shilpa is working in a company, Shilpa is getting conveyance allowance, medical allowance, food allowance, entertainment allowance, servant allowance, this allowance, that allowance, other allowance, right? So it is depending on the CNP policy of the company that what they will give as allowances. Suppose this employee Rashmi is working in that particular company that I'm talking about. Maybe that company is giving conveyance allowance, the company is giving medical allowance, the company is giving leave travel allowance, and the company is giving other allowance. Can they give?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Suppose the company is segregating conveyance allowance as 19,200, medical allowance as 15,000, leave travel allowance as 10,000, and the remaining portion in other allowance. So what will be the remaining portion? What will be the remaining portion? Total allowance is how much? 45,000. So I am giving 19,200 here, 15 here, 10 here. So what is the remaining amount? 45,000 minus 19,200 minus 15,000 minus 10,800,
800.
right? So ultimately what I can do with allowance, that is depending purely with my CNB policy. Whatever the component they are giving, whatever the segregation they are doing, that will be depending on that. And do not have that confusion that always conveyance and medical will be 19,200 and 15,000. It can be other values also, right? Maybe this company can do also like this. Maybe they can give 10,000 or maybe 15,000 in conveyance. They can give 15,000 in medical. They can give 10,000 in lift travel, and they can give 5,000 in other allowance. They can give it,
Sir, I have a
but they
question.
will not do it according to their own wish. They will follow the CNB policy of the company, right? But try to understand that when we will be discussing about taxabilities, then you can understand that in allowances there are some components where there are some tax benefit. So if possible, try to give maximum amount to those components where my employee can get some tax benefit, right? Now, what are those components? What are those taxabilities? I will not discuss now. That is the part of your payroll management, but that is the discussion in the taxability class, not here. Shilpa, you have a doubt, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, will the allowances be fixed per annum, or there can be like certain allowances can be paid in 1 month, or for the next month they won't pay that allowance? Like that, can there be a variable?
I'm not discussing about variable things yet. I have not discussed about the variable pay yet.
No, sir. Allowance. The thing is, I had night
I'm
shift
talking
allowance in my
about
previous company.
allowances. Those are variable in nature. I'm not discussing about that. I'm
Okay, fine.
discussing about allowances which are fixed in nature,
Okay, sir. Okay, fine.
right? Because
Yeah,
try
got
to understand some of the components are such that it can vary from 1 month to other month,
Okay.
right?
Okay, sir.
So that will be our discussion point when we'll discuss about gross and net, not here.
Okay, sir. Okay then.
Do not worry, everything will be discussed, everything will be covered, okay, step by step. Now, so the thing is that what we have discussed the company can give allowance, that is a fixed percentage of basic, that can be a fixed amount, right? And they can segregate that into different components, right? Like conveyance allowance, medical allowance, mobile allowance, this allowance, that allowance, etc. Now, so according to the standard industry practice, basic, house rent allowance and allowance, these three are quite common components that you will get in most of the companies. Apart from that, company can give any other receivables. Company can design any other receivables depending on the CNB policy of the company. The company can give special pay. The company can give location pay. The company can give other compensation. The company can give incentive pay. Company can give performance bonus. Company can give variable pay. Company can give any component that company is willing to include in the CTC. So apart from basic HRA and allowance, there can be any component that is receivable in nature that can be included inside the CTC. But that can be fixed in nature or that can be variable in nature. So either that can be fixed in nature or that can be variable in nature. Many company will see they have not included variable portion inside the CTC. Some company will see they have included variable portion also inside the CTC. So try to understand this thing. Apart from basic HRA and allowance, company can include any other receivables, fixed or variable, inside the CTC. Clear?
Sir, I have a question.
Please.
Sir, this reimbursements will come under
Other receivables, variables.
okay, receivables. Variable
Right?
receivables.
All the reimbursements are variables because that cannot be same for every month. And also there are another factor why that will not come as fixed. That is the discussion during our monthly payroll processing formula, not now.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You need to have patience because the things are interlinked. Okay, and we'll follow step-by-step process, one by one. Okay, is that clear? The discussion that I have done.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Basic HRA allowance, quite famous. Along with that, any other receivable can be given by the company in the form of fixed or in the form of variable, right? Coming to the non-receivable part. Whatever the things I'm discussing, focus on the things, do not draw a conclusion because whatever I'm discussing is just the beginning. Just I'm forming the base, okay? Because there are so many things to discuss. If you are understanding this, then your base will be solid, right? Coming back to the non-receivable part. Now, in non-receivable part, company can give any non-receivable they want. But first of all, we'll discuss about some of the components. If the company is registered to give these benefits to their employees according to the acts and laws of Government of India, then they will provide you these benefits, right? Whenever you are giving any benefit as per the acts and laws, that is known as statute. The acts and laws are known as statute, right? Whenever you are giving something according to the statute, there whatever you are saying or whatever I am saying is not a matter. Whatever the act is saying is the matter. And that is why whenever we are giving something as per the statute, we need to follow the guidelines of the statute. The guidelines are known as compliance, and that is why these components are also known as statutory compliance, right? Now, till the time from you are in the HR field, you have heard the statutory compliance, but why that is statutory compliance, maybe you are not knowing that, right?
Yeah.
Now, remember one thing, technicalities are the most important term in HR, or the most important thing in HR. Whenever you will go to any interview as an HR, if you can resonate your knowledge, in between that 10-15 minutes, if they can understand that you are a knowledgeable HR, then the game is yours. That is why try to understand each and every term very clearly. I know you have heard about many components, you have heard about many things, you are working in the company, there are some things that has been given, but try to understand step by step because that will make your concept much more clearer. Now, understand one thing, there is a component that is under statutory compliance. Okay, one more thing that I'll tell you. Statutory compliance is a vast topic, and that is why we have statutory compliance module separately, where we'll discuss the acts elaborately, because there are so many things to understand in a particular act. But when we are discussing that under payroll management, we need to focus on only the important things that is important for me to understand the calculation. Clear? So if you have more doubts about this act, do not worry, that will be catered in the statutory compliance module, right? Here I will discuss only the things that is important for us to understand payroll. So one famous statutory compliance component is known as Provident Fund. We call it as PF. All the features of PF as per PF Act 1952. So you can understand this is as per the statutory act, right? And there is one government organization, EPFO, who is maintaining this particular fund, Employees Provident Fund Organization. So about PF Act, about EPFO, we'll discuss much more elaborately in our statutory compliance discussion. Now we'll focus on the payroll part. That is important for us to understand. The act is saying that in Provident Fund, there are two side contribution, employer side and employee side. So the act is telling that there are two sides contribution. You will you will contribute for you, I will contribute for you, right? So employer will contribute for the employee, employee will contribute for the employee. Now, how much? The act is telling that as per today's date, the act is telling that the employer side contribution is 13% of basic plus DA plus allowance. And the employee side contribution is 12% of basic plus DA plus allowance. Now I know many of you are here who will think that, okay, I have heard that employee contributes equal percentage, 12%. Yeah, you don't know it wrong. You are right, but you don't know some of the things. And that is why you need to hold on, because in PF, the contribution that is not going to a single component. That is going many components, EPF, EPS, EDLI, and EPF administrative charges. So that discussion will be the part of our statutory discussion, not now, right? So the act is telling that overall the PF contribution for the employer, the total contribution is 13%, and the total contribution of the employee side is 12%. Of what? Basic plus DA plus allowance. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So if they are telling that it is basic plus DA plus allowance, so we need to calculate basic plus DA plus allowance first. So if you see this structure of Rashmi, what is basic here? Basic is this value, right? 112500. What is DA here? 0. Company is not giving DA, right? What is allowance here? 45,000. Right? So what is my basic plus DA plus allowance? 157,500. Clear? So my basic plus DA plus allowance is the basic plus DA plus allowance of the employee. Right? If a company is not giving allowance, so it will be basic plus DA. If a company is not giving DA, then it will be basic plus allowance, right? Basic plus DA plus allowance. Now, after calculating this particular amount, you need to check with the ceiling limit. The act is giving us a ceiling limit of 1,80,000. This is the ceiling limit provided by the act. What is that? After calculating basic plus DA plus allowance, you need to check if the value is more than 1,80,000 or not. If your value is more than 1,80,000, then the calculation will be done on 1,80,000. So here, what is your value? 157,500. Is that more than 1,80,000 or less than 1,80,000?
Less than.
Less than. If less than, then actual amount. But instead
Yes,
of
sir.
1,57,000 something, if the value is 2,57,000, then the calculation will be done on 1,80,000.
80,000.
I am not telling that. You are not telling that. Act is telling that. Why? We are not the lawmaker. We are not the act maker. Right? So the act is telling that 1,80,000 is the maximum ceiling limit on which PF will be calculated. So if your value is equal to 1,80,000, the calculation will be on 1,80,000. If the value is less than 1,80,000, then the calculation will be on the actual amount. If the value is more than 1,80,000, the calculation will be done on 1,80,000. Clear?
Yes, sir.
What is CTC? My contribution for you, not your contribution for you, right? So which part I will focus on? If at all I want to show my contribution in the CTC, what part I will show? What part I will focus?
13%. Employees 13%.
Employer side. What will happen to the employee side? Definitely employee will contribute from the salary, right? So when we'll discuss about gross and net, then we'll discuss what will happen with this 12%, not now. Clear? So if I want to show what is the PF contribution of the employer, how I'll show? It will be
13%
this
of,
value into 13%.
yeah.
So this will be the employer contribution towards PF for 1 year for the employee, right? What will be the contribution month on month? Not now. When we'll go to the ECR file preparation, then we'll understand in statutory class, right? Try to understand if at all I want to show my contribution of PF towards my employee in my CTC, then this is the way to show it. Basic plus DA plus allowance I need to add, then I need to cross check with the ceiling limit. If less than ceiling limit, I'll calculate 13% on the actual value. If more than 1,80,000, I will calculate 13% on 1,80,000. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
If that is clear, I will focus on the next component, that is known as employees state insurance.
ESI.
That is another component that is statutory in nature. Why? Because it is as per ESI Act 1948.
1948.
And ESI is maintained by ESIC, Employee State Insurance Corporation. That is a government regulated body, right? So here also whatever I am saying, you are saying it's not the matter. Whatever the Act is saying is the matter. And the Act is saying that in ESI there are two sides of contribution, employee side and employer side. Now the Act is saying that the employer side contribution is 3.25% of gross. Employee side contribution is 0.75% of gross. Now I have got another term here, gross. Try to understand the concept. Gross are all the components which will be fixed in the monthly payout as part of the salary. Right? Gross components are all the receivables which will be fixed in nature in the monthly payout to my employees. So if you see this structure, basic will be provided to my employee monthly, HRA will be provided to my employee monthly, allowance will be provided to my employee monthly. So what will be the gross here? It will be the addition of basic plus HRA plus allowance. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, the Act is giving us a ceiling limit 252,000, 2,52,000. Now the Act is telling that if your gross value is more than 2,52,000, then the employee will not be eligible to get the ESI benefit. That's the difference. In PF, we have seen if the amount is crossing the ceiling limit, calculation will happen, but will happen on the ceiling amount, right? But in ESI, if the value is crossing the ceiling limit, then calculation will not happen. So, if the gross value is equal to 2,52,000 or less than 2,52,000 in a year, then only the employee will be eligible to get the ESI facilities, and then I will calculate. So here what is my value? 213,750. It is more than 2,52,000 or less than 2,50,000?
Less than.
So if less than, then my employee is eligible. If eligible, then I'll calculate. How to calculate? I will show in the CTC the employer contribution. Employee contribution I will take care in the gross and net as deduction, right? So I will focus on this part. I will not focus in this part because this part will be the employee side contribution that will be reflected as deduction in the gross and net concept, not now. Right? So what will be the employee side, employer side ESI contribution? It will be the gross value into what percentage? 3.25%. So if you are getting in fraction, you can round it off. How to round off? Round bracket start, then the formula comma 0 bracket close, because remember in payroll there cannot be any fraction. Everything should be rounded off.
शॉर्टकट भी तो यूज कर सकते हैं ऊपर में like
whatever
we
the
have
way you want. Whatever the way you want, but ultimately try to understand, you need to round off the figures if you are getting in fraction, because you cannot keep any fraction in payroll. That is one rule in payroll. You cannot keep any fraction in payroll. Clear?
yeah.
Now, apart from ESI, there is another statutory compliance component known as gratuity. All the features of gratuity is as per Gratuity Act 1972. So you can understand this is also a statutory act. We'll discuss about this act separately in statutory compliance class. But remember, statutory, this gratuity is not maintained by any government authorized fund. It is maintained by the company's own gratuity fund. The company is maintaining the gratuity fund. Now, the act is telling that in gratuity, there are only one side of contribution, employer side. There is no contribution from the employee side. So from employee side, there is no contribution. This is not applicable. So only from the employer side, the contribution will go. How much contribution will go? 4.81% of basic plus DA. Remember, I'm not talking about gratuity payment. That when my employee will be eligible to get gratuity, what will be the amount of gratuity they will get, what will be the formula to calculate that, that will be our discussion in statutory. Here I am discussing about if I want to show my gratuity contribution in the CTC, then how I will show it, right? That is 4.81% of basic plus DA. So what I will do here, I need to calculate basic and DA. What is my basic? This is my basic. What is DA? 0. So my basic plus DA is this 112,500, right? So this is my basic plus DA value. Now, as we have seen, there are some ceiling limit in gratuity. There is no ceiling limit of calculation. Whatever your basic plus DA, the calculation will happen on that amount. Clear? So definitely there is no employee side contribution. There is only employer side contribution, and the employer side contribution is 4.81%. So there is no employee side contribution. I need not to think about that, and there is no ceiling limit as well of the calculation. So what I'll do, if I want to show the gratuity contribution from the employer side in the CTC, how I'll show? I'll take the basic plus DA into 4.81%. So if I'm getting in fraction, I can round it off.
Sir,
So
it
the
doesn't
gratuity
have any.
contribution of the employee will be 5411. Clear?
Sir, gratuity doesn't have any ceiling limit. That does that mean it has to be given to everyone in any case?
That is depending on the eligibility, depending on the service duration.
Both that is separate. Yeah.
There are different service duration for the case of resignation, termination, retirement, voluntary retirement, and there is a separate rules for death and disablement. So
But
we are
then
not
we
going
have-
deep into that discussion because that will be discussed in our statutory compliance module, not now. Right? See, I will show that how much I am contributing for UPARVIA. But if you are leaving my organization before the eligibility, will you get the amount? No.
Yeah.
But I'm keeping that for you. I'm keeping that for you. If you are not eligible, if you are not getting, that is your problem, not my problem. Right? Clear? Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
No ceiling limit
Yes, sir.
means on the calculation there is no ceiling limit. If my basic is 5 lakh, 4.81% of 5 lakh. If my basic is 10 lakh, 4.81% of 10 lakh. If my basic is 1 lakh, 4.81% of 1 lakh. That is the meaning of no ceiling limit. Clear? So, PF, ESI and gratuity, these are predominant component under employee non-receivable because this will not be the part of the salary. But apart from that, company can give any other non-receivable as per their CNB policy, and they can include. Company can include different benefits. Company can include some of the different benefits they're keeping for their employees also in the non-receivable part, right? For example, I have seen some companies are keeping loan facilities also inside the benefit part. Some companies are also including the pickup and drop facilities under that. Some companies are including the corporate mediclaim or the life insurance coverage they are providing to their employees under that, right? But ultimately these components will not have any impact on your salary, because you will not get those components inside your salary. Because remember, nowadays many companies are including too many components to make your CTC to look attractive, right?
Yeah.
So what we'll do, we'll go for a 5 minutes break and we'll connect at 9:30 and we'll discuss the rest of the part. Thank you.